I had beginning of last year, I broke my big toe. I didn't have a boot on, but I didn't go to the doctor. But I had like a medical shoe on.
The question is how.
Okay. I'll tell you, but you might be traumatized. I was at the gym.
Okay.
I was at a new gym. Their plates are like 45-pound plates. All the plates are the same size.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is like literally like this thin.
Oh, like the bumper plates, like the rubber ones?
No. They're solid steel plates, thin, no grips, no nothing, smooth.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you pick them up, you gotta hold on tight and use two hands.
Oh Lord.
So I was literally.
It's like reaching for your hopes and dreams, just waiting for it to slip through your hands.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and I was literally just visiting the gym because it was new, was not thinking about it. Picked up a 45-pound plate, was moving it, and it literally slid straight through my hands down, straight onto my big toe, right onto the bone. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ow. I was kind of like in shock for a second, or I think it just kind of went numb instantly, and I kept working out. I was using the belt squat machine. Yeah. And I did another like set or two, and then I was like, I can't really walk.
So you didn't get like that nausea or anything like that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. That came when I took my shoe off.
Okay, gotcha.
I was like, this isn't right. Like, I think I broke my toe. And I was like, did anybody see me? Like, I was like, I was more concerned about, is anybody watching me right now being like, that broke her toe and is like not doing anything about it. And so I just like put the weights up, went to the bathroom, and I was like, let me check. And so I took my shoe off, blood everywhere.
Oh no.
Because the nail broke, and I had like my skin was like gashed open.
Is that toe right there?
Yeah, it's good now. It's good now.
Okay.
But it's been a
problem.
Like
toenail?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I did for like a year, honestly. And when the toenail grows back, it's not like a good nail for a while.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
So, yeah.
Okay, buddy.
I never went back, to say the least.
So you blame the gym and not yourself?
100%.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, not the gym. Well, yeah, whoever picked out those weights, that's what I blame.
Poor design.
I mean, typically when you have steel plates like that, like not the bumper plates,
handles on the side.
There's handles, or they have like
something to grip.
Yes, like a groove of some kind.
Well,
Nothing. It's like grabbing a sandwich, a 45-pound sandwich. Literally.
A sandwich.
Literally. I went to Walgreens and I bought super glue.
Oh, what the?
I had a gash in the skin, like on the edge of the nail, and I was like, I'm not gonna like go to the ER, like fuck that.
Add this to the red flag list. 100%. You break your toe and you get super glue.
What am I gonna do?
We could do that.
I spend like hours in an ER for them to like tape popsicle sticks to it. I was like, no, I'm just gonna get some glue. That's what they do when you don't need stitches. They just glue your skin.
Sub red flag. Justify.
But no. But here,
okay, at least
that's not
pink,
fair.
Pink.
That's not fair because they're red flags that guys actually still want to go for. So this could be either or. It could be probably more in the end than the or.
I popped my shoulder back into place.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call
it sounds
it
like being a MacGyver and getting through an injury is what people need and want nowadays. So
there you go.
Split your toenail open. You keep on partying. Yeah. That's a keeper.
Yes. Grit, resilience.
Just walk it off.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Y'all ready?
Yep.
Okay.
As ready as ever.
Welcome back, everybody, to That's What He Said. This is a podcast about dating, and we're here with Jae and Howard and Rufus, as usual. They are the owners of a dating app called Wingr, without the E, right? Wingr. And I will be interviewing them. Today's topic question is, how has the internet changed dating? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But first, we'll do a little introduction. Right. So, Jae, why don't you start? Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Sure. Are you single? Are you dating?
Sure. So, my name is Jae Cooper. I am the founder, creator of Wingr. Started the dating app in 2022. currently taken. And yeah, here today to talk about how the internet has changed dating. So thanks for having us as well. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, you're taken. How long have you been in a relationship?
Oh God, like it's a really hard question. Several years now?
Is it?
I don't keep count.
Shouldn't be.
No, but it's more like the 4 or 5 year mark.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, it's been great. I think I really got someone special, and yeah, we'll see what happens next.
Love that. But you're still obviously helping us single folks.
Exactly. I've been in those shoes before, so it's not like I know everything, but it's important for me to at least share, my experiences and help people find love too. I think it's important that people find something or someone that they could have as their own. So if I can do that through the dating app, that'd be a really special thing to accomplish.
Yes, I agree. And how old are you?
I am 36.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you look way younger.
I know.
I'm not even just saying that. I don't say that lightly. So whatever you're doing is working.
Nothing.
I mean, black don't crack. But
That's the truth, right? That's the truth, right?
yes. Yeah. Okay, Howard.
I'm Howard. I am 34.
Okay.
As far as relationship status goes, I am working on that. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yes.
It's complicated kind of thing?
Working through things.
Okay.
Yes. So, but would not say I'm single.
Would not say you're single. All right.
34 hours.
34. And you all obviously own the app. What else do you do? Like, what do you do for fun? Hobbies?
Hobbies, travel, hike.
Travel.
Party a little bit, yeah.
I know you like to travel. We all met in Vegas, actually.
Yes, we did.
Great
We won't
time.
tell you too much about the trip because what happens there stays there. But we had a good time.
Yeah, it was a wild time.
Through some mutual friends. So
Maybe y'all had a wild time. I just went there and read some books.
it was your birthday.
Well, I mean, technically, we did do some work at that concert.
Yes,
You know.
we did do some work, but yeah, I didn't do. Yeah, I had my fun. I definitely had my fun.
Yeah.
You know, some
Organized fun. I feel like that's your type.
Yes, organized, creative.
Sleep through some of the events.
Yes. From staying up all night at the library the night before, we fell asleep through some events.
Oh,
That's what we'll put
damn.
out there.
Good time though.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about Wingr.
What do you want to know about it?
Oh, how did you get the idea to start it? There's so many dating apps out there. So like,
All right. I'll give you
what
the
gave you
real
this idea?
scoop.
We want the real scoop.
So the Heard version is out there. You can read it on other articles or news things. But to be honest with you, the idea itself was like a shower thought that I had. And I had zero thoughts of making a dating app at the time.
Okay.
I was going to go meet a friend somewhere, and the idea popped up, and I'm like, oh, this sounds like a great idea. And got the shower call. I'm like, hey, I'm going to meet you, but does this sound like a crazy idea? And he's like, yeah, that's actually a good idea. But then nothing happened. One of those things that a lot of people have where you have an idea and the timing just wasn't right. But as I started getting deeper in my career, getting more knowledge about business and resources, how to manage people and projects, technology, before the advent of March 2020, it was probably around January, I was like, hey, let's try this idea and start working on it, work with somebody, another friend on it. We got a prototype together, but then you kind of know that you need something more. Mm-hmm. And the idea was there, the concept was there. We'll dive a little bit more into the functionality of what the concept makes it different, but you know that if you want to go somewhere quickly, you go by yourself, but if you want to go far, you have to do it together. So I needed someone to kind of bring and bridge that gap together.
Yeah.
And I was out one day and with some friends, and Howard came and joined, and we've been friends for like a good year and a half, but it's one of those awkward things where you never really ask one of your people that you're like cool with, like, what is your day-to-day like?
Yeah.
And
what is your job?
It was like, what is your day-to-day like? What do you do day-to-day? And one of our mutual friends was like, I think you want to go talk to Howard. He can help you out with like some of the things that you were thinking of, like marketing, data, technology, so that way you can focus on what you do. I'm like, why would I do that? And they're like, isn't that like one of your good friends? I'm like, yeah. Like, they're like, do you know what he does day-to-day? I'm like, good question.
You're like, no.
Here's one of the things.
Good question.
No one actually really knows what it is that I do.
Okay.
I never talk about work, but this was one of those times where someone was like, yeah, it was a marketing agency, and at the time I was transitioning over to working with big data and analyzing data, coming up with different metrics and writing programs and software to take this data and actually drive decision making. And so it just happened that based off what Jay was trying to develop here with Wingr, it just made sense for us from my marketing background to what we're trying to do with data and everything and figuring out user behavior for things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We had a conversation while we were out, and one thing led to another.
After COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, what a time to make an online dating app.
100%.
Like, yeah, that's perfect. Perfect
So,
timing.
That's kind of how it all came together. And, you know, we came with the idea, built it out, worked with developers, launched it, and it's been a great 2-year journey so far, and we're excited to see where we go from here.
So how is the app different from other apps, or like how is it structured? I have downloaded it. I made a profile. I went through it because I wanted to get a feel for like, you know, how it works.
I think this is the best opportunity to ask. If that's the case, have you been on any other dating apps?
I have in the past, yeah.
What do you see that's different?
Well, I was gonna ask you guys, like, I guess is the premise of the app to set up other people? Is that part of it?
So that's
It's a part of it.
Okay, because that's something that I'm not aware of as a thing on other apps, as far as I know.
So that's one of our things. So one of the things we're trying to do is actually emulate what happens in a natural process for dating. So usually when you're dating, you're gonna go on a solo date, but usually your social network is involved. You're talking to your friends like, hey, does this guy meet my standards?
Send me a picture. What does he look like? Does he?
Hey, I'm going on this date. Make sure I don't get kidnapped. Like things like that. So that's one major aspect of it, right? The other part is that we're trying to take what happens in the post-match portion and actually enhance that. So that way, when you're actually talking to someone, you can try and glean some kind of idea as to who this person actually is. Break through that veil of, this is a stranger. I don't really know anything about them. I've never heard how they speak. I don't know what like their personality's like. So I don't know actually how to color this conversation. We're trying to inject that into a text-based medium, and then allowing you, once you've met somebody, you feel like you're that much closer to that person, and you actually know a little bit more about them. You can kind of read them a little bit better, understand their personality, and feel that much closer to that person. So it doesn't feel like you're actually meeting a total stranger when you guys finally meet each other.
Okay. And when you say text-based medium, you mean just by like communicating through the app? Text
messages, eventually once we have video on there, things like that. So anything that you would take in a conversation, right? So tone of voice, body language. We're trying to figure out ways to inject that into a space that's completely digital. So that way it just feels more natural to communicate.
I like that.
Yep. Good example would be if you're messaging with friends or family and you send a message and you're like, oh, I hope that they can understand what I meant by that.
Right.
And imagine being put in a space where you don't even know that person. In most cases, sometimes people match with people that they may have seen before or they may know, but in most cases, you don't know that other person and they don't know you either. So without body language or tone, things that you can get while you're meeting someone for the first time, we've noticed that by doing research with our users, you know, trying to find a special feature that can help them, that ghosting and conversations gone awry and not knowing what to say or not understanding the other side.
Just going completely dry because your senses of humor
and they get
don't
bored.
line up.
Yes,
like
that's the biggest thing I was about to say. That is like sense of humor over texting is like impossible. I feel like. I mean, you
get a dry person and a sarcastic person.
Yeah,
that's not
you're like
he's
she's an.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. No, I've been talking to this guy that I kind of like have a crush on through Messenger, someone that granted I know through other people that I'm close to, but I've never met him in person, and he's a very interesting guy. So I'm like, certain things he says, I'm like, is he arguing with me or is he trying to flirt with me?
So do you send that to your friends though?
Do what?
Do you send that like
a screenshot of?
I have sent it to the friend that knows him. He's actually my friend's brother-in-law.
Gotcha.
So, but she's also trying to like stay neutral. She's like, I don't know, you just need to meet him.
Well, see, that's where the Wingr aspect of this comes in too. Is that, let's say, for example, on Wingr, because they're going through strangers with you, it's not to the same effect where it's like, hey, I'm setting you up with this person. I have insight into how this person is, so I can interpret this message for you. For us on the app, it's more of like, we know what you're looking for. We know some of your habits when you're dating. Let's say, like,
your
for
past
example,
experiences.
You're someone who, you're trying to find a serious relationship, but let's say you tend to date toxic people, right?
Okay.
You got blind spots.
Wow,
clearly.
you're calling me out right now?
Not you specifically. Hey, I've been there. But we know you have, that usually means you have blind spots, right?
Sure,
or,
yeah.
or whatever the case is. Your friends know what you're looking for. They know what your goals are. They know you. They know what you want. They also know your blind spots. So you can, instead of having to say, hey, log into my account, or here's a screenshot of this person, they can just view all the profiles for you or with you and say, hey, look, we know you're going to go for this person. Go ahead and hit that red X.
Yeah.
Because this is not what you're looking for.
So how does that work practically? So like, let's say I'm in a relationship, but I want to help my friend find someone.
That's a good question.
So do I make my own profile, or how does that work?
Well,
So
we knew getting into this that we couldn't have a platform where it was a free for all. So we intuitively made a concerted effort to make sure that when people are joining an app, they're given two distinct options. You clearly have this option when you first get to the login page and you're registering. It says, I am single.
I did see that. There were distinct prompts for...
And it says, I am single. And even if you are single, you can still set up your friends. So you're not locked out of anything. But the second option is, I'm only setting up friends. And it could be family too. But we wanted to make sure people knew that there is a designated place for people that are single to go out there and match for themselves or help them, their friends if they want to at the same time. Or if they just want to set up their friends and family, there's a portal for that. And depending on which one you choose, your functionality and the limitations of the app do come into play.
Okay.
essentially, if you're going in as a winger, you're not in the dating pool.
Sure.
You can't interact.
You're invisible
Your
to
profile
everyone.
doesn't pop
Yeah, your
up for
profile doesn't
others.
pop up. You can't actually interact with any of the people that are
Okay.
out there in the dating pool. The only person that you can interact with is the person who's invited you on as a winger, or who you've connected
Gotcha.
with as your winger.
So if I'm a winger, if I swipe right or click yes or whatever, does that guy's profile go over to my friend that I'm winging for? Okay.
But they don't know that.
Oh.
The person that you've
It
sent,
is she doesn't see it until she matches with him.
no, your friend will see it.
Yeah.
But that person that you sent or suggested, the guy, the girl,
He doesn't know who's
they
the
have no
One-sided, yeah.
idea.
So
Okay.
let's say that you have a profile, you have a winger. I'm looking at your profile. Your winger either suggests me or you click on mine. I have no idea that there's a winger in the
did it?
background.
Okay.
I assume
I
it's you.
like that.
Your winger is the
That's
only person
very
that can
real
see
life.
yours. Yeah,
That's,
and that's the
for
thing.
girls at least. I don't know about
Completely
guys.
Same thing with guys.
Really?
We do the same thing all the
Y'all
time.
are weird though, so I don't know.
How are we weird though?
Y'all think we're weird
Y'all
because
don't
you don't understand how we
y'all don't
communicate.
communicate. Yeah, exactly. Y'all don't communicate how we do.
That
We speak differently
yeah,
though.
that's true.
But
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
when things get complicated, first person I call is this guy right here.
Aw.
Yeah, he knows 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he's got giant life-changing things like, and you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, I do.
Immediately,
Sure.
hey, how does this look? Is this the right design?
Oh, okay. Well, we won't say anything, but I can guess.
Yeah. We're talking about shoes and stuff. Him and
Shoes.
his girl have like this really cute thing. Kind of does this little cute thing.
I thought you were gonna talk about the cat we adopted. That was a really big life
that
changing
one too.
thing. But
No, they do these little gift bags they give each other and all that stuff. So
all
they
right,
kinda
you can put the
follow-
secret out there. That's what he's saying. You're ruining this.
Wait, what is you give
quarter
her gift
thing.
bags?
So I started this thing about 3 or 4 years ago where, and it's just my mentality dating. So I'm not trying to say that everyone should do this. It's just I just
Okay.
woke up
Everyone
doing it.
should do this.
It's probably a good
It's
idea,
cute
but
as shit.
Take notes. Take notes.
it's
Open
a
up
good
your notes.
idea. And
This is another thing we need to add on to our post. I'm just saying
yeah, I'll
green
give
flags.
some advice on this one. But knowing as I was going through the relationship and growing as a man too, like I didn't want to do anything that's like the bare minimum or feel as though I'm doing just enough to keep it there.
Yeah.
And I was like, what can I do? And oddly enough, this is right when I was about to start the app. It's 2020. And I'm like, it's cold outside and I need to go get me like a jacket or something. I'm like, should I get her a jacket too? All right, let's get her a jacket.
You have
What
the
else does she
masculine
like?
utility in there too.
And I'm
right?
like, what else does she maybe want or need?
Provider.
And so the first time I did it, I let her pick things out and I called it her swag box, so to speak. And I just let her put different items in there. But after that first time, and this has been going on since 2020, January, every season she gets a swag box. And it's grown into where it's like boxes, like 2 or 3 boxes. She doesn't know what's in it. She doesn't know when it's coming. It'll just be
But
there.
she picks the item?
No, she doesn't. I have
Oh,
to
she
pick it
doesn't.
No,
out.
only on the
Okay.
first one. He had to
Yeah,
get
the
a feel
first one
for
I had to
what
get a
she
feel
liked.
for
Okay,
it.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
And I'll ask like on the way, like to get things out. And sometimes her friends might mention things here and there, but it'll be a box of things. Sometimes it's like oh, she wants like, now she's into like designer like basketball shoes like I am. So
Okay.
I'll see a pair of Kobe's coming out and I'm like, man, I really want to get those for me, but I think she'll like those. So I'll get those in there. Or it's like, oh, she wants some new heels or whatever, this and that, and I'll just get like different items like that I'll hear
Do you have
through
a
the
budget
day.
for the box?
I mean,
You don't have to divulge
I
that.
don't,
That's
I
his
don't think
lawyer.
there's
He
a-
doesn't have to tell you what that
there's
budget
not a
is.
constant budget, but it depends on what's needed, and then from there, what I can find. So
Okay.
some of them have been
Oh, that's very
pretty far up
manly,
there, and
what's
some of them have
needed.
been really specific
So
as well.
custom tailored Birchbox, essentially, for your
Right.
friends, what this is.
Yeah.
But no,
It's
no,
the
it was
best idea I've ever
It
heard.
is.
It's incredible.
I want to subscribe.
I might need some ideas. So
Hey, Wingr
it's fair.
box, baby.
Yeah, we'll make a Wingr
Yes,
box for
Wingr
all of our
box.
for all of our highly dedicated podcast fans out there.
I
We'll do
love that.
So yeah, that's just a thing that I've done, and to be honest with you, it wasn't a plan. It just, you did it once, and you see the smile on somebody's face, and then you wonder if you can replicate it again. And now it's not like she expects it, because she never
Yeah.
asked for anything. So it's not like if I miss a season, because I'll admit it, I have. I'm like, damn it, it was
You're like,
spring, I didn't do anything. Like, I've had that thing, but
So you
like
do it 4 times a year then?
4 times a year is my
Even though we
plan.
have no seasons here, you just
Well,
pretend.
the best of
We got
the
two.
Houston
What the
seasons.
calendar says. Yeah.
So I just
Okay,
go
so let me
quarterly.
ask you this. So
Okay.
what if something is in the box that she doesn't like? Has she ever told you like that?
Yes,
Like,
it
she,
has
does she
happened.
get to
It has
exchange
happened.
it?
I have had my swing and misses. That's why I try to
Okay.
get multiple things. So there's so there's gonna be something in there that she likes. But the swing and misses are just a learning experience to be like, all right, that isn't.
But you
it.
don't get offended.
No, I just get my money back.
But money
no,
back after
no,
the
no, no,
exchange.
I'm
What
kidding,
are you
I'm
talking
kidding.
about?
I'm
There's
kidding.
a
I'm
difference
kidding. I'm
between
kidding.
men and
But no,
women's
like for the
conversations right
times
there.
that she,
Yeah.
the times that she doesn't like it, then I'll just return it with the credit, and she can go pick something out.
Yes. Okay.
And that's what we do. But yeah, I don't get my money back. I just
That
like
is
to
the
joke about it.
best. Everyone should do
I'm
that.
trying to tell you, when he first told me about this, I was like,
Apparently, I caught a lot of heat that from our guy friends. Like, why are you doing this?
They're like, you're making us
let's
look
be real.
bad.
I'm not calling him out. You only call heat from people who don't want to do that. There's a difference. But-
Possibly.
But what that does, though, it shows the curiosity he has about his partner, right? Like, not only what she needs, things that she wants, shows that he's paying attention to things that are coming on down the line. Like, you mentioned heels, right? Where it's like, okay, well, I know she has this event. Not only are you showing, do you pay attention to what she buys and her style, I know the metrics behind it, right? Shoe size, I know what you like, I know your taste, I know what's coming up. I went ahead and take care of this for you. So you have the
Yeah.
utility that men like to provide for women,
Right.
which is ease of life.
Yes.
But also, guess what? I'm interested and curious. I know what's going on with you. I know what you like. I'm introducing you to some new things. Like you mentioned, basketball shoes that she's into now. That's showing influence in the relationship. And
Right.
the codependency.
Or
with
you
the
could even
community.
like try like something new and be like, let's see if she likes
Here's a pocket
it.
knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't gone that far.
Here's
the
a
only
Glock.
drawback.
Oh,
The only
Here's a
drawback
Glock.
that I'll provide is like it's funny. It's not a real drawback, but the only thing that I didn't see coming through it was getting all these damn emails from all these
Oh,
different
yeah.
shopping things from women.
why
I'm
you
like,
set up a whole-
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like,
you
you
gotta
would
make
like
a-
this. Is this your size? I'm like, I am not wearing
You
that
gotta make
myself.
like an AOL account for all that
I
stuff.
would recommend, unless you want the
Hotmail.
spam,
Go ahead and get a
Yes,
Hotmail.
the spam.
There you
Yeah.
go.
get your own
I
email
don't wear
address
a
because
size 6.
they will flood you, and the next thing you know, you're like, this is not
Yeah.
right. That's the only advice I give out there for like
That-
tips around that.
High key, that's probably the best advice any guy's ever given on the show thus far. Like,
you go.
yes.
There you go.
I feel honored. I feel
Yes,
honored.
I love it.
And that's why we have a dating app.
I'm gonna, yeah, legit. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game slash
Oh boy.
icebreaker. So I picked a few of the prompts that I liked the most from the Wingr app. So we're gonna ask y'all these questions.
All right.
Okay, we'll just bounce back and forth. Okay, so Howard, your prompt, what would you say for the one that says, "I will marry you if"?
I will marry you if you can show me something adventurous that gets my adrenaline pumping that I haven't thought about yet.
Wow. Okay, it's like an adventurous woman.
Yeah. Everyone always says men are attracted to novelty. It's not necessarily novelty in finding something new. It's just keeping life going, you know?
Yes.
Especially to break up the monotony. If I'm working a 9 to 5 and, I like hiking, and I'm like, hey, I go hiking. find me the most dangerous hike I can go on in like the next, like within 100 miles. Let's go do that. Like I want to be terrified. Show me that.
Well, it might be hard around here, but maybe give it like a couple states away. It might be good.
Go to
yeah.
Utah,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. But that'll get my
adventure
interest immediately.
What's your sign?
Guess. You'd be wrong though.
I'll be wrong.
100%. Everyone gets it wrong.
You like adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius.
Nope.
Damn, that was mine.
I'm Capricorn.
Oh, okay. Wait, when's your birthday?
January 3rd.
Okay.
I'm a Capricorn, and apparently my
Interesting.
Aries moon balances that off.
Oh, okay. That would make more sense.
I'm telling you, I told you.
Okay, it's great to know about your Aries moon now. That's great.
So I told you, one of the things that we're going to add to Wingr eventually is
Oh,
Signs.
horoscopes?
because you see what I told you.
Yes.
we do have it built in where we can just plug it in.
Just gotta
I have said I'm
live
not like
development right here.
I'm not 100% sold on the horoscopes, but I'm not sold.
I've started
like,
learning a little bit more.
When
about
you
them.
actually get into
Interesting.
like the realness of it, like the original, I guess you could call it philosophy or the way of thinking, it's actually pretty like scientific and it's pretty legit. It gets so muddled with like these like Instagram accounts and like blogs and stuff that just say random.
Yeah, so those for sure. But I think humans we're just complicated, and it's just one of those things where there are patterns with people in certain things,
Right.
And so whatever you can attribute it to try and give form to that pattern, you can kind of fill
What
it
helps
out.
you like navigate people and relationships? Yeah.
What's your sign? I have no idea. Oh,
Take a
you're
guess.
August. You're Leo. I know that.
Maybe you're wrong.
No, you're Leo.
Maybe you're wrong.
I know you're born in August.
Maybe
Wait,
you're right on that.
no, Leo's not August.
Yes,
It
is.
can be.
August 12th.
Not me.
My brother's.
No, I thought Leo's early August.
So what's before that?
That was
July.
Is it
like-
Cancer? What'd you say?
No, early August. That would be your brother. I'm not early August. I'm late.
Oh, I don't know what's after
This is why I'm
Leo.
a terrible partner because
I need to work on my.
time frame is terrible.
Yeah.
What are you?
I'm a Virgo. Team Virgo.
Oh, this
But I'm
makes
like right on the cusp of being
We're
like a
supposed to
Virgo.
be great
right?
partners, actually.
Okay, let's
This
not say it
makes
like
sense.
that.
There's nothing wrong with a little male-on-male bonding. Don't be those guys. 2024.
There is
man.
actually matches for friendships too.
Yeah, we haven't put that in Wingr yet, but that'll be a great thing.
No, Jay.
Yeah.
Just be friends, right?
Disclaimer.
That would be a
We don't
good addition.
discriminate
though.
either. Everyone is welcome.
That is true. That's what.
Okay, Jay. Yours is believe it or not,
Oh man, that's good.
Didn't you make it up?
I didn't make it up necessarily. I just wanted people to ask the question to other people. I never thought about
well,
it being
now it's
asked to
on,
me.
now it's spotlight's on you.
You might have to take a sip. I'm gonna think about this one for
Yeah,
a second.
think about it. We have time.
So background on these prompts, while he thinks about his answer, we were trying to think of exactly what you're doing here, right? Thought-provoking things, because we want people to actually open up. We want people to show their quirky sides, like their
Right.
more vulnerable sides, and that's one of the things that but we think is missing from dating is that people are too guarded and closed off, that they don't show the things that
It's not
actually
real.
make them stand out. And so this is like a lot of our questions. This is why we're still developing some of these. Is that we want people to really just like, this is who I am. Like it's cool. Like I'm this.
Okay.
Vibe with that.
Cool.
Trying to enhance the matches.
I love it. Okay.
All right, I think I have an answer.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I am an amateur gardener.
Amateur
I have to say
gardener.
amateur because
What do you charge per hour?
Well, no. Here's the thing.
Oh,
this
not
is,
that
this is
way.
where this is where the amateur side really comes
Okay.
out. So my girlfriend got me a gift of like this thing. It's called a garden. Not an actual garden, but it's a indoor. What is it called?
So the
tower?
Indoor
Yes, the
hydroponic
hydroponic
tower.
You got a tower?
There you go.
Yeah, and
Shut
here's the thing.
up.
I
Did
didn't want anything gardening wise. I'd never gardened anything in my damn life.
Okay.
So that's why amateur comes out. But I ended up getting it, and she's like, "You're supposed to like it." I'm like, I didn't say it out loud, but I'm like, what the hell is this for?
I would say the same thing if I
So
got that and
cook
didn't
a
know what
lot
it was.
too, and so through the week I'll cook like 2 or 3 times, and you know I like doing things from scratch. Like I don't make anything out of a box. Nothing comes out of a can.
Same.
Like I go out, I get it, grow it now, and I'll break everything down. Like if I'm cooking something, it's probably going to take like hours or an entire day. Like making
Wow.
pasta from hand, all those things. So she was seeing me do these things over time and was like, oh, well, maybe he grows his own herbs and stuff. That'll be great. I never thought of
Yes.
that myself. So yeah, I know a little bit more about plants from I guess a hydroponic scale than I
Yeah.
do, I guess, or than I did a couple years ago. But yeah, I
So,
would say
and
that's
this is
it.
the indoor.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
the UV
it's
lights
kind
on
of
the
cheating
side,
a
back
little
on the
bit because
wall.
it does the
No,
work.
it's not. They
but
call it city.
And a
It's
timer.
called city
yeah, it does
gardening
the
or
work.
urban
It has
gardening.
an app. You know, it waters itself on a schedule. So that part
So in
is
Nice.
Vegas,
Yeah.
he was checking the alerts at one
Oh,
point.
he's like, go to water my
So I
herbs.
care
Yeah.
about them. They're like 30 little children now.
So
for
what
me
do you
on there.
what are you growing?
I normally stick with the herbs. So
Okay.
I'm a really good like person that can stay patient on the herbs. But if
Yes.
I'm trying to do things like lettuces or different vegetables or even fruits, they don't tend to make it very well.
Yeah,
like
that's what
jalapeno
I've
peppers are
heard.
good and different types of peppers.
Some type of lettuce, though. I thought that
I've
I
grown
thought the
several types of
lettuces grew
lettuces,
well
and they grow
inside.
well,
It
but
depends on
they'll
the
bolt
size,
really
too.
quickly
Yeah.
to like indoors
Oh.
in this humidity. So the herbs are what I wanted anyway. Favorite herb now for some reason is tarragon. So I have tarragon always growing, thyme, sage. There's a litany of them that I didn't even know
This
really
tracks.
existed.
This tracks now.
Tracks
This
for
Some
me.
of
tracks.
your recipes with tarragon.
Oh yeah, the tarragon chicken one. I
Yeah,
tell you.
yeah.
For his date night once, he asked me like, "Hey, what should I do?" And I was like, "Well, if you make this recipe, this is it." I don't think he made it, but
Yeah, the Brussels sprouts. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
want something else. but-
Nice. That's awesome. That's I would get that gift. That's almost like for me, like here, take those, grow herbs,
It's
grow
incredible.
vegetables.
yeah, it's fun. Like it's
Yeah.
and even though it takes some of the guesswork out, like I still go down and check. Even last night, I just woke up and went downstairs and was like, the app didn't tell me anything. I'm like, I wonder how they're doing, and I just go down there and
Just
check.
babies.
on
You know, that is so funny because I feel so that's literally like a biological thing. Like people our age, biologically, we're supposed to be raising kids right now, you know?
I'm glad mine are plants.
And we have plants and dogs.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
Cats.
there it
Yeah.
is,
Dogs,
right here.
cats,
Right
Yeah.
here. Yeah, yeah. Can you tell?
Mm,
That
he's comfy
literally my
now.
child. So I love that so much. Okay. Okay, so Howard, my biggest turnoff is
Turned off by people who, damn dude, I'm still thinking about all these same ones. It's very recent, so
you're like, let me make a list.
yeah.
Do y'all watch Friends?
Never seen an
I've
episode.
seen
Oh my gosh.
my fair share of it for sure.
Okay. Well, there's an episode where Ross is like trying to decide between dating Rachel or this other girl. So he makes a list about Rachel of like pros and
Pros and
cons,
cons. I
and she
remember that one.
finds it. And
Oh,
it's
Lord.
like the dumbest stuff. Like she's spoiled because like she comes from like a rich family. Like she has fat ankles.
That's fucked.
Yes, I know.
Okay, I got one. I'm turned off by people who are afraid to show their weirdness.
Their weirdness.
Yeah, I'm a weird guy.
How are you weird?
I'm a huge tech nerd. I'm into
Oh,
sci-fi. I
That
play sports.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have these things that don't seemingly overlap. I'm super social, but I have my introverted side.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm trying to get to know someone, I don't hide those things. Like, all right, let's say you collect, I don't know, Rick and Morty figurines. Show that shit. Show your personality. I want to see that. Like, don't be like
Okay.
everybody else.
Nice.
So anybody who like hides their, I guess a better way to say this is like uniqueness.
Yeah, uniqueness.
Yeah, I can't be open around you if you hide that.
Yeah.
So.
But which goes back to the app. You're trying to like bring that
Yeah.
into it.
This is why we vibed on that whole thing. 'cause
Yeah.
I'm weird all the time. I just let it show. I don't even care. Unapologetically weird. Like it's fine.
I love that. People are, and that ties into our topic today, but like especially with social media, I feel like people try to conform so much to like what they think they're supposed to be. And
That's actually a more elegant way of putting that.
I feel like it affects men a lot because men are so like prideful of like, because you want to, you have to show like on the outside what you bring to the table, and you like get all these ideas of what you think that's supposed to be from the world from the outside, from social
Ties into
media.
our conversation before the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes.
Actually. Yeah.
And it's like not real. Like none of that's real. Like you just bring you.
Yeah.
You know, and the rest will fall into place.
Present yourself.
Yes.
And just be
but
that.
so many men, at least in I can only speak for myself really, but like time and time again, I get in these situations where it's like it starts playing out. It's like you were never who I thought you were. And now you hid that and you tried to be somebody else and you played me, or you like now there's no trust.
Yeah.
You know, you know, had you just been honest, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
But they like have to put on this like armor of fakeness to be what they think we want.
See, that's the weird thing right now. This whole polarity, right, of fitting what this idea of what I am this is very reductive, right? So it's like I am a rock climber. So everything I do revolves around rock climbing. And you like everything has to line up with that. Or I'm a Democrat, so I have all these things. There's no like nuance in that. And I think that's one of the things that kind of plays into why dating is so hard now, because people identify so closely with like one identity, whatever the strongest identity is. Everything has to fall under that.
They want to put you in that box.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Versus like, no, that box.
No, I have literally said every box that's ever been in existence.
We're complicated. We're an array of colors.
I
Be
am
all
so
of that.
complicated. I'm like, give me a box, I'll try it to pieces just because you gave it to me.
Yeah,
like,
don't
you know
put
what I
me in
mean?
no damn box.
Yeah.
Span. Like, you know, be all of that. Show that.
Yeah,
shit.
I love that. Okay, last question for you, Jay. In my friend group, I am the...
Oh, that is loaded question.
I felt like that was a good one for you.
For some reason, I'm like I'm trying to find the.
lying too.
I'm trying to figure out the right way of saying it because it's not something I expected to be in, but
Okay.
I'm like the voice of reason sometimes. If that makes
I
sense.
could see that, yeah.
Very
And
politically correct way of
I
putting it.
didn't know of a better way of saying it, because there's sometimes where like people have asked me what to do, and to be honest with you, I
He's the
am
pop
not
of the
qualified to
He's the
answer
pop
some
of
of
the
these
group.
qualities.
He's the what?
The pops of
Yeah.
The pops. Okay.
Yeah,
Dad.
Maybe it's a little old man into me or whatever.
No,
but,
no, you're not the old man of the
Oh,
group.
definitely not
No,
the
no,
oldest
you're not the
person
old
in
man
the
of the group. There's a few other people that are there. But no, he's the pop of the group.
Yeah, it's just
Papa Bear.
people seem to be able to feel like they could listen or confide. And even just this past weekend when we were out, it's been really great to like be around like some friends that you haven't seen in a while, and it feels like you're getting back and catching with you. And you're learning so much about them, and they're catching me up on these things. And even though I wasn't there, they're like, so what should I do for this or that? And I'm like, well, why are you asking me now? I'm just catching up on this information. But it's good to see like the guys in the group or the girls in the group sometimes still come over and be like, what do you think about this? And it's an interesting development to find myself in, to be like the dad of the group, I guess. You can just go ahead and say that too.
Yeah.
That was the word I thought. Like, yeah, he's
But,
the dad of the group.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, just like everyone else too, like I still have my things I try to figure out and question too. So it's a little weird
Sure.
to answer these questions because I don't know everything. I'm figuring out as I go too.
I mean,
But-
so do dads.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I do
Everything.
my best version of telling them another version of this. But, you know, a lot of times people don't come with like problems. It's just wanting to know how to take the step.
Sure.
And I always encourage them to say, in some form or fashion, but it's a way of spinning, saying, hey, don't wait for all your ducks to get in a row. You just sometimes have to pick them up and cross the damn road and then figure it out along the way. There's no perfect situation to start, to work through, or land on. But
Yeah.
you can still get to where you want. But
Yeah.
no action is worse than getting it wrong. You know, you don't fail if you're trying. So I encourage them to do
I love
those
all these
things.
sayings you have.
I just
But that's
realized
what
why
a
this works so
compliment.
well, actually, now.
Oh, what's that?
'Cause we're the two extremes of the group. This just clicked to me right now.
So you're the child of the group?
No.
That would be the opposite extreme
No,
of the
definitely
dad.
the child of the group.
We do have someone that would fit very well in that
Yeah,
category.
for sure.
Maybe a
I'm
couple.
sure.
Few. No, it's like we were talking before, right? The bureaucratic version, right? Measured response. Everyone has that person that's caged inside. Sometimes that person has to get let out.
Yeah.
I'm the one that gets let out.
You're the one in the cage.
So,
Okay.
yeah. And so us together makes great sense business-wise because you need both of those things, right?
For sure.
And so certain times when you get advice, it's, all right, what's a more measured response? To make sure that you're responding appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's like, okay, now I have to
you need somebody to tell him how it is.
Shackles are off.
Sometimes you have to destroy your enemy.
Yeah.
How do we do that? And then he deferred to me.
Yeah. CC Howard.
Yeah. Hey, Howard, what do we do here?
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
That's good. That's
And
a
then you
good
sip some coffee real quick.
complimentary. That's a good complimentary like relationship. Okay, so then on that note, now I'm curious, what is the most memorable date or if interaction you've had with a female to date?
G-rated, please, Howard.
Hey, there's always the bleep button.
I was like, that's good. All right, so with that question, like incapacity, like in terms of meeting or being on a date?
Anything, just the most memorable. It could be the worst date ever. It could be the best date ever. It could be the most embarrassing moment.
I will say that the most interesting one, which has been a very interesting relationship for me so far, is going to Mardi Gras and hanging out with some of my friends, and there literally is a cow on a balcony squirting Franzia out of its udders.
Wait, a real cow?
No, it's a guy dressed up as a cow.
Oh, okay.
And it was partly usually
So he
just
had
like
a
cow suit. Yeah, he had udders.
and he
on his
had
stomach.
a bag of wine
sounds
in
very
his tummy
romantic.
somehow.
Yeah. And
Wait, okay, so you were with the girl?
No.
Oh, this is okay.
Yeah, I'm with one of my best friends actually,
Okay.
and I'm there. I've never been to Mardi Gras. I've been to New Orleans countless times, but I'm out there visiting one of my friends. He's about to leave. He just got promoted as a cardiologist, and he's like, "Hey, come hang out, whatever." And so we go to this party to go meet some people that I had met with him previously, like the previous year when I was out there, and not for Mardi Gras, just for coming to New Orleans. And so we go to this party, and everyone there are all cardiologists, and there's a couple there that's not a cardiologist. And I'm just sitting there like,
With the cow.
no, the cow is separate. The cow is on the balcony.
Oh,
There's
okay.
another party going on
Oh,
upstairs.
okay. I'm
This
like,
cow-
these cardiologists are wild.
I mean, it's New Orleans. And so me and this guy just randomly started talking. He's like, I got somebody you should meet. And I said, I'm good. And my friend starts laughing. He's like, no, for real. Let's meet her. I was like, this happens all the time. I don't need to be set up.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
chilling. And he was like, no, you should meet her. And I go, all right, show me a picture. Shows me a picture, and I go, oh, right now. Yeah, for sure. We talk for a second, and then exchange numbers, and then have a conversation, and the rest of it's playing out.
Okay.
But
the rest
it
is
was
history.
very interesting because it was one of these things where
That's like the most unexpected moment.
Oh,
Setting
100%,
to be,
100%.
yeah.
Because the week prior to that, I straight up said I'm not going to take any relationship right now. I'm going to focus on work. We got a lot of stuff going on with Wingr, my agency. I got a son. Like focusing on all that, and then this happened. And my friend goes, I don't know what to tell you. I was like, I'm going to give him my phone number to give to her, I guess. And lo and behold, like, it was a very interesting conversation. There was a nice, complex person. And so I was kind of just like, yeah.
It turned into something.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Of all places, New Orleans.
That's always the wildest thing to say. It's like, it's, of all places, New Orleans with the background of cows shooting out Franzia from his teeth.
From the others. With cardiologists.
Nothing but cardiologists. Which,
Interesting.
Doctors are crazy.
Are they?
Oh,
Well,
100%.
they are, but
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it the way that you're saying it. But yes, they are crazy.
Everyone has that caged person, yeah, and so
That's
you have
true,
people
yeah.
who are very restrained, dealing with a lot of stress, and then you introduce
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of a wild card in there. The next thing you know, everyone's shotgunning shiners. and
Udders. Wine from udders.
there was a 2-story chug from the. and
Seriously?
someone caught it right in the mouth, and was not me, but I was sitting.
That's
there
good
like,
aim.
They didn't hit right first.
Oh.
There's definitely splashes of wine on several people's faces, but it was an interesting thing for sure.
So funny. Okay, well, let's get into our topic. So, how has the internet changed dating? We're all, I would say, millennials. So I feel like I feel like probably every generation says this, but we have seen so much change with technology, with the way people interact. I had said this on a previous episode of like, I feel like just 10 years ago, like if I went out to Washington Avenue or something, it was like I couldn't go out without being hit on multiple times. And I was like, I'm no Megan Fox.
I mean,
like
on Washington, it's never gonna happen.
But nowadays it's like crickets. I don't get asked out or hit on or approached like hardly ever. And so I attribute that to because we have the internet. But what would you guys say, pros and cons, I guess? How has the internet changed dating?
I think it's two things. The internet has changed it for the better and the worse, because if you want something, by the convenience of it, now we have things like Amazon that can get things shipped right to your doorstep. So people aren't out as much. And when you're a millennial and you've gone through the 2000s, recessions, and gone through the other recessions that have taken place subsequently, and there are always people that their lives are focused on trying to either pay for student loans or find jobs or establish their careers. These things are shifted, so they're happening a little bit later in life, which we found too with our dating app, which is why our target markets are slightly a little bit older, but still within 25 to 35. 24 to 35, because people are still more focused on their careers now. And so by the time they would go out to the bars they're staying in, and if they are at the bars, they're probably out because somebody else called them out and they're just there to be there. There are people that still want to go out and meet people out there, and that's perfectly fine and natural. But the internet has also made it easier to see things and get the sensation and the gamification of dating apps as well, of saying, well, maybe I'll just go on this app, swipe 10 times, and, or however many times you're going to go, and see what I come up with.
Yeah.
It starts becoming less about going after what it is that you want, and then becoming more about, I'm going to burn through my daily allotted amount of profiles, and then who selects me back, I'm going to pick from there.
Yeah, and that's a dopamine hit, and he says it's really well, but it's a dopamine hit that people would get being out there, getting that now more inside, even without even matching. Just that process of looking and clicking, that is somewhat replacing being at bars. So it isn't that people like yourself or anyone else have changed, or that there's something else out there that is affecting you in any way. It's just that the people that would respond in a way of seeing you saying, hey, can I get your drink? Can I get your number? They have other sources of getting that draw of excitement that you couldn't replicate before.
Yeah.
Biology hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
Right.
People, what you're attracted to is what you're still attracted to.
Sure.
What has changed is the threshold for risk. And so the gamification of this plays into that, because now, and you can take dating out of the equation, right? Look at having an argument about politics or whatever. You're a keyboard warrior. You can sit behind a keyboard, say whatever it is. There's no actual risk involved. Somebody can comment, but there's no threat.
Sure.
There's a risk involved, a perceived risk anyways, with going up to someone you're attracted to, initiating a conversation. That risk of rejection, you're there with 10 people, 5 people. You go up to a girl at the bar, she goes, oh, I'm not interested. But now you have an audience of people who've just witnessed that.
Or you're with your friends as well, and they know that, don't worry, man, I'll get you a drink. I'll make you feel better. Like you have to carry that on.
For the rest of the night. It's 10 o'clock at night.
So how does that, from a man's standpoint, how does that in-person rejection affect you?
It depends on where you fall on the spectrum.
What spectrum?
On the spectrum of your risk tolerance versus, I guess we can get into this conversation, perceived market value.
Okay.
If your risk tolerance is very, very high, you don't care. You roll with it.
What makes it high or low?
Personality,
like confidence, essentially.
Well, all these things feed confidence, right? So it's, how often have you done this? Were you young and experienced hitting on women before? Again, speaking from a male's perspective, right? Have you hit on women before? Do you know that a girl telling you no isn't that big of a deal? Like, how can you handle that? If that's not an issue for you, you can keep on going. Hell, when we went out last week, there was I have never seen this in all my years of going out.
Okay.
A dude, literally every single girl that walked by, just dude, to the point where it became a conversation in and of itself. No one knew who this dude was. Somehow he was attached to our group, and every girl that came by,
He was talking to her.
Stopped it, and he was getting rejected, getting numbers, all of the stuff, completely unfazed. And my response was this: you gotta appreciate, like, just the presence that comes with that, where it's like, oh, no, whatever. I mean, literally, a girl stormed off on him. And I was like, hey, dude's completely unfazed.
Huh.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Put someone else in that same position, first rejection, they're going to curl up in a ball and walk off.
Really?
Their whole night's ruined.
Okay.
But that also permeates the rest of your interactions. Now, if you're a single guy and you're going out trying to talk to people, women are intuitive. If you smell defeated already, you've already lost the conversation.
For most women, yeah.
There's no interest there. Because now they're like, well, why are you coming up to me all weak and stuff? You don't even believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And so that right there ties into this confidence and risk tolerance, because a lot of guys are very intimidated with talking to women, not realizing that this is just a conversation. Like, a woman also has to pique your interest too. Like, people don't go into that interaction that way.
Yeah.
On the internet, it's a whole lot easier to be brave. It's a whole lot easier, and there's science to back this up, that when men see, and there's no better way of saying this, but like a mating opportunity, adrenaline gets pumping, dopamine, serotonin start firing off, all these other things play into this, to where a little bit of neuroticism plays into it, a little paranoia, like things start seeming like a threat. And if you don't know how to handle that in a conversation, you can't come off as genuine, you can't come off as interesting. And so in the internet, none of that plays off. Now it's just a profile and a profile. There's nothing that
very low risk.
There's no witness. There's no one can see that. Oh, I got rejected. It's just I got.
Okay, so I have a question about that, because I have to say, when it comes to online dating, I have tried it in the past. I've met guys through that, but I'm not 100% sold. So, and part of what you're talking about is why, because I feel like the short-term effect is pretty good. I mean, especially if you work from home, if you work around a bunch of men and you're straight, like you have the opportunity to meet people that you wouldn't normally have. For me, it's the long-term effects. So for men, if they, are no longer in that high-risk situation of having to approach women, and they're only swiping with little to no risk, then that's going to lower that risk tolerance. So then when they are out and about, why would they ever choose to approach someone in person?
Gamification is such a problem, because
so
now you never
we've had years of this, and so now we're experiencing the long-term effects of, like, nobody's approaching each other anymore, because they have lowered their risk tolerance, and they have this perception of, well, there's unlimited options in my phone.
So you touched on something, but I can even take it a bit further than that, right? Or prior to that. There's a song by, I think it's Marvin Gaye or Al Green, talking about being a wallflower.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you look at, like, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the way they started, like, pinning people who would be interesting or not is, like, if you're dancing or not, right?
Yeah.
And so the risk tolerance for that was, will you go on the dance floor and dance? And the way around that was forming a soul train. You start dancing, everyone's dancing, everyone's embarrassing themselves, whatever, it's a good time.
Such a good time.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then you realize you break out of your shell and it's like fun.
Yeah.
The problem is now is that the risk tolerance is so low that no one won't even have a conversation. And you can see this when you go to bars where everyone's just in these little pods. They're even just mingling in general. You won't see people talking to other pods. Not even just for attraction. It's just, you're a person, I'm a person, let's talk, whatever. When it comes to how this plays out more so with dating and everything like that, not only does that risk tolerance go down, not only does gamification increase, like this need to just swipe, you don't even have how do we normally talk about, like, the interest level of, like, even being able to talk beyond that. Like, let's say you start a conversation with someone, holding the attention to continue to talk goes out the window too, because now not only is your risk tolerance gone, but your tolerance for
like attention span
is completely gone because you've just swiped through 30, 40 different profiles, and someone might have said a joke that you don't get, and you're like, I've got 30 other people
you're like
that
swiping
I've
left
matched with.
in your head.
Yeah, I've got 30 other people that I've matched with. This person, I don't know, maybe I don't like the color of her shirt.
Oh, yeah.
The perceived level of options also starts playing into a factor in this too.
Right. Yeah. So you keep mentioning gamification. What do you all mean when you say that?
It's not an easy one way of saying it, but again, it's going back to companies know what will allow for people to continue to use their apps because that's what their incentive is, was keep the usage up. Let's make sure that they're pumping money out there. And with the advent of Tinder being the first, or Bumble, these other dating apps, what they quickly realize is that let's flood with options and make the process very quick. So that way their thought processes are like, here's an option, here's an option, here's an option. That's why the swiping is even there as an option. It's to make sure that you can feel like there's a steady flow. It's no different than men going and saying, well, I need to go buy this, and then here are your flooding of options, or a woman, she's going out and she's looking at something
Online shopping.
And
Yeah.
it's the same thing. I'm pretty sure we've all in some respect gone through and we tried to purchase a product or something to where it's all in a list view, or you slide through it and you just go through and you pick your colors and you can try to find what you want.
Here
And
are
they're
more
trying
options
to,
that you might
yeah.
like with that.
Right.
yeah, and here are your small differences. But the thing is, we're creating the options by getting on these apps. And if we're allowing some of these apps that are designed to play off of that, there are very few people far in between to actually get anything that's meaningful.
Yeah.
And there are people that are just quite well and satisfied just going through getting matches and never meeting, or going through getting matches and trying to seem like they're entertaining and squeezing all the life that they can out of that person without wanting anything that's fruitful to build off of.
Some people
Okay,
are
so
just killing time.
what is that about? Okay, so let's say, because I feel like that's pretty common, I'm sure for both men and women, but from the man's point of view, why would a man sit there and swipe and match and even engage and like message and maybe even as far as texting, but never ask the girl out or ghost at some
So
point?
stroking the ego.
Stroking the ego.
And then a lack of knowledge of how to do it sometimes
But,
for some
but
guys.
so what stops him from actually
Have to-
wanting to pursue her, see her in person, date,
That's
get into a
complicated-
relationship?
Complicated question because there's so many different things.
Simplify it for us.
If I had to simplify it, there are thresholds, right? Fear. Maybe I've created a profile that I can't live up to. I have to go play this role in person. Probably can't. 2, perceived options. I like this person to hit it off, but somebody else just matched with me. Maybe this person's
Maybe
better.
this one's better.
Yeah. So now you have this endless cycle of the grass is always greener. 3rd, I'm not really trying to date. I just want an ego boost. I just want to see how many girls are stroking my ego who are interested in me. I'm going to talk. I've lost interest.
So
Oh.
it is the ego stroke in, like, if you see her and you're like, oh, she's hot, swipe right, and the ego stroke is when she matches.
It's matched. And
Oh,
then
hot girl likes me
it's
too.
The minute that you know they're interested. So it's one of those things where, think of like those stereotypes. You ever seen Hall Pass? The movie Hall Pass is like
Yes,
So
long
you
time
got
ago.
these two guys, they're long-term marriages, right? Mm-hmm. Wives give them a hall pass.
Hall
and they're
pass,
like,
yeah.
hey, we just want to see if we still got it. That's the ego boost. Can I go out here and still find someone who's attracted to me? And they got this old dude who's been in the club scene forever, and he's got all these beautiful women teaching him all the tricks and trades of like all the new stuff that's going on. That's all the ego boost is. Can I still do it? Because neither one of them actually close on the hall pass. They get there and they're like, I love my wife. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's the ego boost. Can I make this happen? Can I get all the way to the line and then stop?
So what is the incentive for the ego boost?
Dopamine.
I mean, why do you need that?
Dopamine.
And I wouldn't even say that the ego boost is a category you can cast over all men. Because the other side of the thing to think of too is that there are people that can be intentional, but due to other people taking away those opportunities, whether the other people ego boosting it, or I think that this next thing is more prominent, they are unsure of how to follow through with the next steps.
Well, that
And
goes
it's-
back to the first one. Like
Yeah.
this percent. Like
yeah,
this
like
thing
how
they
do I
try to
bridge
build
that
up.
gap with knowing someone, because there's that lack of interaction, body tone, language, and you have this picture of a
Yes.
person you've never met. Yeah, you're taking their first words, you're interpreting it the way that you expect to hear, but you don't. You will get a lot further if you had signs that would help you understand that this
Yeah.
person actually does want to carry on a conversation. They do want to see you outside of the app. And these other apps, they only get you to the point of matching and then they just drop out. There's some things here and there that they might try to do, but their goal is to get you the match, drop out, and you're on your own. And that's one why our post-match pieces we find are very important too, to help drive the conversation and move it
So
forward.
what are those? I haven't gotten that far in that.
So we have the prompts that you were asking us questions over, but the one thing that we have, and it's our first version of it, and we're growing it, we created this thing called Set the Mood.
Okay.
It's a feature where once you match with someone, so here's a good way of kind of explaining it. Do you ever find yourself to where you're having a conversation with someone and they say something, or maybe you say something and it's a joke and they didn't get that, you know, there was satire behind it, or I was being sarcastic,
For
and
sure.
the conversation just kind of wanes and fades out. Well, in the dating world, that happens a lot. Man, the fact that people aren't unmatching and blocking them, I'm like, there's got to be a reason behind that. And the reason is that the person on the other side wasn't able to inflect how that response got to them. Sometimes people are just blunt. They're like, hey, I did not like that. But most people struggle to convey how they're feeling. Even when things are going well, you're like, hey, I don't know how this conversation is going. Do I ask him on a date? I don't know.
Emotions make people.
And then you
very
pause,
uncomfortable.
and then you freak out as a man to say, can I do this? Is the right thing? Because again, whether or not it's in person or not, you're running to that point where it's going to be a yes, go forward, or you're rejected. And from a dating app perspective, it sucks even more to get rejected after you match with somebody. It's like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Like, I thought I had something moving
What's
forward.
wrong
To that
with me?
point- and
Yeah.
to that point, what's interesting is knowing that both men and women have like this fear of rejection.
The thing that really makes it, I think, unique is post-match, we're not just leaving you on your own. And what it allows for you to do is take the conversation and illuminate your responses, or how you respond is how people are talking. For example, if someone says something to you and you want them to clearly know that I like where this conversation is going. Maybe I bring up, hey, like, I really love going out and doing wine tastings. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. I want him to know that. Instead of just saying, oh, me too, because those responses seem to be pretty vague. They don't really keep the conversation going.
Right.
Maybe you just have a lack of the word structure to convey that. We've given you something that everybody loves, which is a button that you can push.
Okay.
And you can push a button and a drop down of what we call moods come up. And every mood is tied to like an emoji, an expression. And then what happens is when I set the mood, since there's no body language, the next best thing that we could think of at the time was, let's give them a sign. And the
Visual
sign is a
association.
visual association of color. Because there's color psychology that all
Right.
humans have that we can work with. So high frequency colors like red or like high alert, they could be happy, they could be warning. So if you were to set the mood and say, I'm feeling flirty, it would actually change that mood, show everybody
that's
the
cool.
colors behind it of being
Like within
happy.
your message thread?
Yes. So like
Okay.
as I'll get a notification now.
What
that
is the flirty
says-
color?
I think it's red. I think it's red.
Okay.
So you'll get a notification. It's like, oh, Natalie set the mood, and you're like, well, you get a notification that there's a mood. You're like, I wonder what she did. So now I'm going back into the phone because it feels like I'm peering into how you're responding and
How I'm
feeling.
feeling.
Read and
And you don't
'Cause
have
you
to
can't
read
read
through
my
all the text
body
and be like, what
language.
does this mean? You can cut right to it, and she's like, oh my gosh, she's feeling flirty. I feel now like it's imperative on me to keep the conversation going.
Wow.
And I feel like I'm on the
gives
right
you
track.
Permission to continue too, because someone sends you like a one or two.
It was
word
like
response.
prompting you to
Yes.
respond to
At
how
the
I
touch
feel.
of a button. Don't use some crazy phases, because I think it's still
yeah.
going to happen, which is why we have the Wingr effect, where people can be like, what do I say?
Sure.
So you can do group chats and things like that on the app too, to still go through and do the things that you do in person. So
Really?
you don't have to hand your phone over anymore. But if it's just you and that person and you feel confident, you can set the mood. Even if you just have the words, but you're like, I'm going to set this mood so they clearly know, like, this is where I'm at. It's good. But the flip side of this too is back to what we were talking about earlier. Maybe the conversations are going dry, or they say something to where, that's a little uncomfortable, or I don't really understand.
I think
but
of a double entendre,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do I interpret something that could be multiple
Perceived
meanings,
multiple
right?
ways.
It's like, which way do I take it?
Uh-huh.
If you have this background, cause part of that is that it takes away the need to say, I'm flirting with you. The conversation is now colored, so you know to interpret the following statements as flirting with you.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm a little standoffish now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to ask like, how is this going? Which
She can set the mood to being bored.
Yeah. So
You can?
So
Yeah, you can be like,
asking
I'm
and
bored.
prodding. You don't have to kill the vibe. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, so maybe I should pivot here. Like it takes the pressure off the person sending the message, but also allows the person that's receiving the message to better understand where you are in this conversation, so they know how to proceed. So if someone's just completely just ignoring that, then you know this isn't the right match for me. But maybe they said something just as like a little test to see how you take this, and you say, I didn't receive that well, and then they pivot. Well, you know this person is still open to where your head is, where your mood is in this conversation. So like maybe there was interest in that conversation initially. You don't have to just completely just shut this down. You're like, all right, let's try again. Maybe
Okay.
we can, pivot from here and.
So there's more feedback, is what it sounds like.
But
because
it's
really,
subtle feedback. It's subtle.
yeah, but really, when you're in a dating app, I feel like that is how things fizzle out. It's because there's not that nonverbal feedback that you get in person. I mean, in person, realistically, from a psychological standpoint, most of your communication is nonverbal between two people.
Tone,
facial I mean, you have like thousands of muscles in your face to make expressions with, and on a phone there's zero.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's you're 1,000 points. Yeah. You're starting 1,000 below zero. Yeah, plus body language, tone, pitch of voice, volume of voice, all those things.
All right. Let me jot this down.
So, yeah, I mean, seriously, I told you I'm not sold because I've tried it and I just have all of these like reservations. But at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, going out in person is not much better either.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of in this predicament, and it's like, why are we here? How did we get here? And how do we, to use your word, pivot? And I do think that's a good, I mean, something as simple as adding a color to a chat is huge.
So what we want to do is allow people to introduce more, I don't want to say honesty or vulnerability because I feel like those words are weighted, but more openness into the conversation. And so back to your question, yes, like how does the internet affect dating? We can take it a step back. How does the internet affect just human to human communication?
For sure, yeah.
We're not as open anymore. Like you don't feel comfortable to just express yourself anymore because now it's like, well, if I get a little too wild, I might end up on someone's story or reel. If I share a little too much quirkiness, this person's gonna be like, this person's not.
Yeah, if I flirt too hard, they might think I'm slutty.
Yeah, or I'm a creep because it's just like, hey, how are you doing? It's like, it's like where there was like a gradient before, things are becoming way more binary. It's this or that, this or that, this or that. Everything's polarized. Yeah. And so what we're trying to introduce more is a gradient to dating. So there is not so much that the conversation of the match is so easily thrown away. It's there was an initial interest. This one thing I didn't like. Let's see if these other things outweigh that.
Right. That kind of hits on a bigger issue that I feel like is going on in dating right now is like, I feel like because of the internet, people are so quick to say no. And people have these expectations of like finding somebody that they like everything about them.
Perfect. They want perfect.
Yeah, well, and perfect is one thing because I bet you if you were to ask that person, hypothetically, that's wanting a perfect person, what is a perfect person? They couldn't even tell you.
Well, it shifts.
Yeah, but not only that, but they're thinking they're going to find somebody who they literally like everything about them. And as soon as they find something that they don't like, they're out. Why? Because they have trained their brain to have this instant gratification. Because if you are online shopping, oh, I don't like this one review. Okay, I'm going to keep looking. Or, oh, I don't like this one feature. Or, oh, it's a few dollars overpriced. You just keep going and going because with online shopping, there kind of are endless options. But with people...
So what you just said, though, right there.
People are not commodities.
So that right there, though, and you haven't actually said this specifically, but you keep dancing around it. Not only is it that there's like perfection or like the ideal version, there's also this idea that I have all these other options.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have options, right? But this one, I want 6'3", he's 6'2". No.
Right.
I'll find 1,000 other people that are 6'3". So there's this perception that there are endless options until I can mix the pot to find the exact one that I want. And that's something that's happening on both ends of the spectrum, both men and women, where it's like,
correct.
This person isn't as funny as I want them to be. I can find someone with the exact same
I
specs.
think they're not as funny as I want them to be.
Right now, in this moment, they didn't hit the joke 100% of the time.
Right.
This joke didn't land it flat. I can keep these exact same specs and find someone who's 1 degree funnier than this person.
Right.
So they keep on trying to fit and keep on trying to fit without realizing that that's not how human interactions work. That's not how bonding
humans
and
are.
commitments work,
Right.
or any kind of like connection works. You have to figure out and whatever. Hey, we butt heads. It's like that doesn't mean like the friendships like you're gonna throw the friendship away. It means that we figure out how to make the thing work.
Right,
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think that people nowadays, because of the internet, do you think people think they have more options than they really
100%.
do?
Oh, 100%.
And speaking to men specifically.
100%. I have guy friends where. So I grew up, like I was in college when Tinder first released, but I also had like a year or two before it released.
Okay.
Dudes that I know that crush it on Tinder. I am horrible on Tinder. I don't put it, like when I was on Tinder, nah, dude, I wouldn't put an effort in. I was like, nah, I can just go out and meet a girl in real life. Like, why am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Some of the people that I know that do way better on Tinder would never go and approach a girl in real life, ever. And that's not to sound like any kind of way, but it's just a fact. And I'd look at them like, why is this not working for me? Why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. And they'll look at this and was like, well, because you said this, and this. I'm like, I didn't say anything. Like, well, look at your profile. Like, you haven't put anything in this. I'm like, why am I going to do that? I wouldn't even talk about this like in an interaction. It's like, well, you got to sell yourself. I'm like, nah.
Too much effort.
Yes. Like, it's the same thing like except in social media profile. But then you flip the entire situation where it's like you have to be interesting in person. That doesn't happen. And so I think that this whole change with dating is that perception of what your actual dating pool is. And it's not to sound like there's like, elitist and anything, but there are, people have more access depending on social standings, excitement, interest, whatever it is. Some people are more appealing than others, or some people have more success with that.
Yeah.
And then you have people who, just because they're just not trying to be active that way, they don't have that. So it's like those rules, those standards, those types of things get changed, and it's how you adapt to the environment. So if you are able to adapt to an internet dating scene, you'll have success.
See, even you just saying that gives me so much anxiety because I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to adapt to the internet.
It goes against your biology.
But you're also like, if you look at it from a numbers standpoint, you're like, if I want to beat the odds, I kind of have to.
So it depends on if you're a sniper or a shotgun. That's what we were talking about earlier.
What does that mean?
Shotgun is...
I would prefer to be a sniper, I think.
Your intuition is telling you that.
Okay.
So snipers are people, and this is still like a loosely fitting theory, but snipers are people.
We actually just had a sniper on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
So then you're familiar with the
He
concept
was in the Marine Corps. He's a good friend
Oh.
of mine, and he was a sniper. Yeah.
So take that. You have a target. You hone in on the target. It fits what your stat sheet is. You go for that target, and you put effort into that target.
Mm-hmm.
Shotguns are played by the laws of average. I have 10 people.
Yeah.
I just need one. If I get the one, I'm a success.
Yeah.
Not everyone's built like that. Not everyone thinks like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the internet dating scene, for the most part, plays into that. Some dating apps, things like Plenty of Fish or Hinge, try to mitigate that. They try to reduce the gamification of that, but they don't go far enough because not everybody wants that. That's not really a thing, especially if you're looking for a real connection. Most people want to be more snipers. They want, this is what my sheet is. I want someone that fits as close to this as possible.
You think most people want that?
Most people don't want a connection. Now,
Okay.
if your goal is
Most people on the dating apps.
Most people on the dating apps that are looking for a connection. Because you have to add that piece in, because some people are looking for hookups, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's what you're looking for, you want a shallow interaction, then the numbers approach match. And then it's like, all right, so here's my sheet. Instead of maybe needing 85, 90% of that, maybe I just need 60 or 50, like whatever that is. Because I'm just trying to get a date for the weekend or something. Or maybe I got like, some shallow interaction, but I don't need this to last more than 3 months, 2 months, whatever. But someone who is 27, 28, maybe works 80 hours a week, but they want companionship, the shotgun approach doesn't work for them. Because maybe they want real conversations. Maybe instead of going out to a bar or to a rave or whatever, they want, hey, I want a coffee date at brunch or something like that. I want to be able to have a conversation with you. Mm-hmm. There are more things that need to line up to be able to continue a conversation 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it. Like, hey, let's text during the week. They need more things lined up. But if you're a shotgun and you're looking for 1 out of 10, you're not going to find that. And the dating apps are more set up like that, where it's like...
They're more set up for a shotgun.
Yeah, 100%. This is why people call Tinder the bargain bin.
The what?
The bargain bin.
The bargain bin.
The bargain bin, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's been designated as the hookup app for a reason. It's like, you can get attraction, you can't get connection.
Okay.
And we're trying to get past attraction to connection.
To connection.
Yeah. And whatever your connection, whatever the end goal is of that connection, whether it's marriage or maybe shallow dating or multiple dating, whatever it is, people who are on our app are looking for some kind of connection that goes beyond just the superficial of, all right, cool, you're 6'2", you work out, you're not a brokey, like those types of things,
Allegedly.
Yeah. But it goes beyond allegedly, like, all right, let me dig a little bit deeper into this. On Tinder, you're like, oh, you say you're not a brokey, cool, you can drop $200 tonight. Yeah. I don't care, I'm not going to see you next week, so maybe that was like your entire week's budget.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I experienced it,
Yeah.
And so we're capturing the people who are trying to go beyond that. Not necessarily looking for marriage, not necessarily looking for like a long-term relationship, but that want some kind of connection with another person, whatever that makeup looks like,
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're seeing. The internet is, connections are way more shallow now. People are more depressed.
100%.
Feel detached. As connected as they are, people feel way detached from everyone else.
Speaking of depressed, I was listening to a podcast today with a doctor from Germany. This is a total side note, but I'm a super health nerd. Like, that's like my
Noticed
super...
that when we came in. Yeah.
You did?
Oh, yeah. It had the spa vibes.
You had the energy, yes. Mm-hmm. The organic wine. Yeah, it's just part of who I am. It's like I love health and wellness and just learning about all that. So anyways, I was listening to this podcast and he just mentioned that today the number one diagnosed disease is depression.
Mm-hmm.
Like
10 years ago it was ADD.
Yeah, well, that's too. But if someone had asked me that, what's the number one disease, I immediately would have jumped to heart disease, number 2 cancer. But now it's depression. And I feel like so much of that is or can be attributed to the lack of human interaction. I mean, I even see that in my own life where, a single adult living alone, they say that you should get like at least 3 hugs a day to be healthy.
Really?
To be emotionally healthy. 7?
I thought it was 7, yeah. Well, assistant teacher.
Maybe I might be way off.
I think it was just touches. It was like 7
touches.
And
okay. maybe so. Or maybe it's different for children, maybe versus adults, but more than 1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will go a week without touching a human being. More than maybe a handshake.
I'll go an entire day without uttering a word. A word. And then you speak at 5 p.m. You're like, damn, I haven't said anything today.
Yeah, that's scary.
Loud.
That's scary. I don't go that long. It'll be 7:30 before my mom starts calling me. But but yeah, I mean, I even think about like getting sick and like having the flu, and I'm like, nobody has like consoled me for like 4 days, And so it's kind of scary because it makes you think like, where is the internet taking us? Thank y'all so much for tuning in to today's episode of That's What He Said. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you're taking away something valuable that will benefit your dating life. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this show a follow, rate, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, comment below because I want to hear what you said. See you next time. Thank you.